Chapter 426, by Li Tu-ming. Bailey Pang Pang frowned tightly upon witnessing this scene. He reached out and pushed against the desk, gracefully leaping over it and landing steadily in front of Bailey Jing, who was sitting in a swivel chair. His right hand clenched into a fist as he coldly spoke. Although you are the adopted son of the Bailey family, have we ever treated you poorly from childhood to now? Everything I have, you have too, and some things even more than I do. Dad entrusted the entire group to you because he trusts you. Because we trust you. You are more capable than I am and more qualified to manage the Bailey group. I am very clear about this. From the beginning, I never intended to monopolize power, nor do I care about it. What I think about is that once I inherit the Bailey group, I will directly hand over all the power to you, allowing you to continue managing the Bailey group on my behalf. At that time, the two of you as brothers can work together. I will fight outside and you will manage the family business at home. Isn't that good? Bailey Pang Pang stared intently into Bailey Jing's eyes, gritting his teeth as he spoke. I treated you like a brother, and what about you? You want to kill me? Blowing up planes, inciting 4 forbidden item users, laying a trap around the entire Guangzhou Shenzhen area. Bailey Jing, you have quite the ambition. How did our Bailey family end up with such an ungrateful wolf like you? Bailey Pang Pang nearly roared the last sentence. He suddenly raised his fist and swung it forcefully toward Bailey Jing's face, the whistling wind of his punch creating a mournful sound as it cut through the air, the force terrifyingly strong. Bailey Jing, sitting in the swivel chair, narrowed his eyes slightly and gently raised his right hand. On his thumb, a green ring glimmered faintly. In the next moment, the ring automatically disassembled, like a tide covering Bailey Jing's right hand, transforming into a part of a jade armor glove that firmly caught Bailey Pang Pang's fist. Bang! A deep collision sound echoed in the office. Bailey Pang Pang's fist was easily held in Bailey Jing's hand, the latter leaning slightly forward in his chair, a mocking look appearing in his eyes. Me? I'm the ungrateful wolf of the Bailey family? Hee. Bailey Jing's laughter abruptly stopped as he gazed into Bailey Pang Pang's eyes, his smile gradually fading. He spoke slowly. After all these years, how can you still be so naive? Seeing the jade armor glove, Bailey Pang Pang's expression changed slightly. Bailey Jing, do you really want to fight me here with forbidden items? And if I do? Bailey Jing's palm suddenly exerted force, and Bailey Pang Pang's fist immediately made a slight cracking sound. His face turned ashen, and with a determined heart he reached into his pocket. Since you want to fight, I'll oblige. Suddenly he froze in place. His hand rummaged through his pocket repeatedly, then he looked down, staring at his empty palm, a look of bewilderment appearing in his eyes. Where's my free space? He muttered in confusion. Impossible, I clearly had it on me. Why can't I open it? Where's my mental power? Bailey Pang Pang's brow furrowed tightly as he carefully sensed the mental power within him, but all of it seemed sealed. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't summon even a trace. Without mental power, he couldn't use forbidden items. A mocking expression appeared on Bailey Jing's face. What's wrong? Realized your mental power is sealed? Why don't you think carefully about what you ate today? Upon hearing this, Bailey Pang Pang stood frozen in place. The image of a sumptuous breakfast flashed in his mind. That was the only thing he had eaten today. It can't be. Bailey Pang Pang's eyes slightly contracted and he shook his head in a daze. Impossible, she's my mom. How could she possibly harm me? It seemed he thought of something, suddenly looking down at Bailey Jing, his eyes filled with rage. It was you. You tampered with my breakfast. Bailey Jing scoffed. Don't you find it strange? Although I manage the Bailey group, it's only a small part. With my status, how could I possibly have the authority to mobilize missiles to attack your plane? The 4 forbidden item users are one of the Bailey family's faces. Their qualifications are older than my age. How could I have the ability to incite them to kill someone designated as the sole heir of the Bailey family? This is Guangzhou Shenzhen, this is the Bailey group. Do you really think I could evade my father's notice and use the entire Bailey group's power to ambush you? And he wouldn't know anything about it? You really overestimate me. Bailey Pang Pang stood there like a statue. What does that mean? After a long time he finally spoke in confusion. What? I've said this much and you still can't understand. Bailey Jing raised an eyebrow, his palm exerting force again, the jade armor crushing Bailey Pongpong's hand bones. Excruciating pain instantly filled Bailey Pongpong's mind, his face contorted in agony, his teeth clenched tightly as he stared at Bailey Jing, managing to hold back a sound. Bailey Jing released his twisted hand, the hand covered in jade armor clenched tightly, and he delivered a heavy punch to Bailey Pongpong's chest. Bailey Pongpong's chest instantly caved in and he flew backward, crashing into the heavy desk, rolling twice on the ground before violently spitting out a mouthful of blood. Cough cough. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth onto the office floor as he staggered, trying to support himself and seemingly wanting to stand up. Bailey Jing, wearing the jade glove, slowly walked up to him, grabbing his collar with one hand and lifting him off the ground. He leaned in close to Bailey Pongpong's ear and spoke slowly. "Since that's the case, I'll tell you directly. It's not me who wants to kill you. It's our father." Bailey Pongpong's pupils suddenly contracted, and he shook his head slightly, weakly saying, "Impossible. Why would Dad want to kill me? I'm his son. He has no reason to kill me." Bailey Jing looked him up and down for a moment, then said with a hint of amusement, "You're his son? Are you so sure? In terms of physique, appearance, personality, intelligence, what about you resembles him? What kind of person is our father? He's the one who founded the Bailey Group and made it the most successful enterprise in the Great Xia. He's an esteemed figure among the Night Watchmen, and he's regarded as the curator of the Forbidden Item collection. He's a legend in the entire Great Xia business world. Yet he has you, a lazy, fat and dim-witted son. Do you think that's reasonable?" Bailey Pang stared blankly at the ceiling. "You also said that from childhood to now what you have I have too, and even more than you. How many times has our father even looked at you? Has he ever treated you like a son? Has he ever cared about you? No. He just gave you money, provided you with many servants to take care of you, following you wherever you went. These people constantly instilled the idea of being lazy and indulgent in you, taking on all your responsibilities, showing you the glamorous world, turning you into a complete waste. Your only role was to use the name Bailey Tumming to attract those who intended to harm the Bailey Group, assassination, bombing, murder, attacks. Can you even count how many times? After each narrow escape, has your father ever taken the initiative to comfort you even once?" Bailey Jing let out a cold laugh. "Do you want to know what I was doing while you were risking your life outside? I was at home, enjoying the warm meals made by my mother, learning management and business thinking from my father, sharing his workload, enjoying the treatment you will never experience. I have everything while you only have the name Bailey Tumming. And now I'm sorry. This name, you should return it to me." Chapter 427. The Scheme of the Bailey Family. "My name," Bailey Pang murmured to himself. "Impossible, I am who I am, how could my name possibly be given to you?" "It's simple." Bailey Jing adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and smiled. "After you die, we will use the Bailey family's influence to alter all records related to you in the Great Xia, whether electronic or paper. All traces of Bailey Tuming will be distorted, and the information will ultimately point to someone else. Me." Seeing the bewildered look in Bailey Pongpong's eyes, Bailey Jing sighed helplessly. "It seems you still don't understand my point. If that's the case, let me tell you everything that could happen after your death." A few minutes later, at the Bailey family's birthday banquet, Bailey Exon, the chairman of the Bailey Group, will reveal a secret that has been buried for 19 years. The so-called adopted son of the Bailey family, Bailey Jing, and the designated heir of the Bailey Group, Bailey Tuming, are actually the same person. After Bailey Tuming was born, Bailey Exon aimed to train him into a qualified heir, teaching him business and management knowledge from a young age. Bailey Tuming was exceptionally intelligent and quickly grasped Bailey Exion's business acumen. Thus, to further develop Bailey Tuming, Bailey Exon publicly claimed to have adopted a son named Bailey Jing. From that point on, Bailey Tuming concealed his identity and started working from the bottom of the Bailey Group. With his own wisdom and talent, he quickly climbed to the upper echelons of the Bailey Group. Meanwhile, Bailey Exon timely revealed his adopted son's identity, causing quite a stir. However, it was precisely because of this adopted son status that other executives could work with him without being overly sycophantic, as it was well known that Bailey Jing could not be the heir of the Bailey family. In such an environment, Bailey Tuming gradually familiarized himself with the group while honing his practical skills, slowly building his network. Bailey Jing continued, "And that's not all. 2 years ago, Bai Li Tu-ming chose to join the Night Watchers to better train himself. After a year of training at the boot camp, he underwent a transformation. Upholding the principles of the Night Watchers, he joined the 010 squad stationed in Guangshan City, where he experienced life and death for a year. He proved through practice that he was not a rich second generation relying on background and connections, but a brave hero who could step onto the battlefield and fight for his country. When everyone learns that the business legend Bai Li Jing and the Night Watcher, Bai Li Tu-ming, are actually the same person, Bai Li Tu-ming's reputation will surpass everyone, making him the universally acknowledged heir of the Bai Li group. Of course, these are merely additional benefits. The real focus lies ahead. Do you know why my father sponsored so much money and managed the Forbidden Objects collection, yet only held an honorary senior position? Because at the end of the day he is just a businessman. But if it were Bai Li Tu-ming, everything would be different. Bai Li Tu-ming will replace Bai Li Xin as the head of the Bai Li family, take over the Forbidden Objects collection, and possess hundreds of forbidden objects. As the second major sponsor of the Night Watchers, managing the Bai Li group and holding hundreds of forbidden objects, most importantly, he is also a member of the Night Watchers. Do you think he wouldn't have a great chance of replacing Bai Li Xin as the honorary senior of the Night Watchers and becoming one of the official senior members? By then, Bai Li family will truly become the pillar of the Great Xia. Bai Li Jing grew more excited as he spoke, his voice trembling with enthusiasm. He grabbed Bai Li Pengpeng's collar, his eyes shining brightly. Bai Li Tu-ming, I must thank you on behalf of the entire Bai Li family. If it weren't for you attracting the attention of hostile forces and enduring assassination attempts, I wouldn't have been able to grow up peacefully to this point. If it weren't for you joining the Night Watchers and enduring hardships, living a life on the edge, I would have had to put in a lot of effort to become a senior member of the Night Watchers. Your existence is not just making a wedding dress for me, but for the future of the entire Bai Li group. Bai Li Pengpeng stared blankly into Bai Li Jing's eyes and hoarsely replied, "This is impossible. I volunteered to join the Night Watchers and it was me who attended the boot camp, me who joined the 010 squad. So many people witnessed it, how could you possibly replace me? The senior members of the Night Watchers would never let this happen." Bai Li Jing shook his head. "Your voluntary participation in the Night Watchers indeed surprised both me and my father, but even if you hadn't proposed it, my father would have found a way to get you in because this is the most crucial part of the entire plan. The key point for me to become a senior member of the Night Watchers is that you must survive the boot camp and successfully join a top-ranking squad. To ensure you, this useless person, survive, my father has put in a lot of effort. The Heavenly Jade firewalls for forbidden object users. Their purpose is to ensure you live to fulfill your mission. Don't you find it strange? Most of the forbidden objects on you are for self-defense and escape, with very few focused on attack. With so many high-risk offensive forbidden objects in the Bai Li family, why not give you one? Because the stronger your combat ability, the greater the cost we will incur when we need to eliminate you in the future. As for whether you would be recognized, that's easy to solve. Among the more than 300 new recruits in the boot camp, only a handful truly have a deep impression of you. The others merely know there's someone named Bai Li Tu-ming and have seen you from a distance a few times, exchanged a few words. Years later, how many of them will clearly remember your appearance? Even if they happen to see me, I can call out their names and even recount some things they did in the boot camp. You might not know this, but when you just graduated from the boot camp, I had already memorized the information of those 300 people given to me by my father. I know them better than you do. By then they will only think that after so many years, your appearance has changed a lot and won't think too much about it. As for those who have a deep impression of you, once I become a senior member of the Night Watchers, as long as I make a few adjustments to assign them to remote places like the desert forest, where they will never come to Guangshan again, they will never have the chance to see me. As for the senior members of the Night Watchers, there's even less to worry about. My father has already used some means to replace all the photos in your files with mine. This means that even if they pull up the database, they will only see my record of Bai Li Tu-ming joining the team, not yours. Those senior members of the Night Watchers could never have seen your appearance. How could they suspect that the photos have been swapped? Bai Li Pengpeng was left speechless. And we have long understood the temperament of the people in the 010 squad. Over the years they have received many benefits from the Bai Li family. Now, it's their turn to show sincerity. Will they risk the future of the entire squad for a little fat man who is no longer a night watcher and has already died seeking justice? Or will they turn a blind eye and accept the new, Bailey Tu-ming, gaining the full support of the Bailey family and joining the strongest night watcher squads in the Great Xiao from now on? What do you think they will choose? Everything will leave no trace whatsoever. The only variable is that newly emerged Special Squad Reserve team. At this point, Bailey Jing's expression grew serious. Neither my father nor I expected you to have any connection with the 5th Special Squad. To be honest, we have successfully controlled you for 19 years, and this matter has exceeded our expectations. Chapter 428. The Bloodstained Amulet of Peace. However, this is not a difficult task. Bailey Jing said calmly, even if it's a special team, they are not necessarily united, let alone a reserve team that has only been established for a little over a month. As long as we offer enough benefits, it won't be hard to make them shut up. Moreover, your application to join the team has long been withheld by your father. As long as the document isn't signed, you are not a member of the reserve team, and you aren't even a night watchman right now. They have no right to interfere in the matters of the Bailey family. It is said that the captain of that reserve team, Lin Chia, is a smart person. Whether to choose a useless person who has lost the support of his family or to choose the full support of the entire Bailey family, I believe he will make the right choice. Bailey Pang was slightly taken aback upon hearing this, a glimmer of light appearing in his eyes as he weakly smiled. What are you laughing at? Bailey Jing frowned and asked. I thought it was some brilliant plan, but it seems it's nothing more than this. Bailey Pang chuckled, then suddenly coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood, his face pale as he spoke. Even if all your arrangements are flawless, as long as Chia is still alive, as long as he remembers me, you are destined to fail. You underestimate Lin Chia too much. Chia would never give up on me. Once he knows the truth, he will definitely turn the entire Bailey group upside down. He will make the whole Bailey group pay for my demise. Bailey Pang laughed happily. Even if his entire life was a plaything for others, at least he had something that belonged to him. He had someone he could trust absolutely. This was Bailey Pong's only counterattack in 19 years. You don't even know what humanity is, Bailey Jing scoffed, shaking his head. As long as the benefits are great enough, humanity cannot withstand the test. Bailey Pang sneered. You don't know what brotherhood is, what it means to be comrades. Bailey Jing looked at Bailey Pong's smiling face, his frown deepening, his expression gradually darkening. You think that just because you've been a night watchman for a few years you can lecture me? What are you? A useless person, just a scapegoat for the Bailey family. He flipped his hand, and the jade-green glove in his hand transformed into a short green sword that he gripped tightly. I've never liked you since we were kids. A scapegoat, yet you act like an older brother, lecturing me at every turn. If I make a mistake, you expect me to ask father for leniency? Look at you, smiling foolishly every day. Do you really think you're someone important? You're just a dog, a pig. Every time I see your silly, grinning face, I want to tear it apart and see if you can still laugh then. Bailey Jing's lips curled into a cold arc, his golden-rimmed glasses reflecting white light as he plunged the jade-green short sword into Bailey Pong's face, slowly slicing it open. Bailey Pong's face contorted in agony, his teeth clenched tightly as he stared at Bailey Jing, refusing to utter a word. Streams of blood oozed from between his teeth, mingling with the blood flowing down his face, dripping onto the ground and pooling into a crimson puddle. Moments later, a horrifying gash appeared, starting from the lower eyelid of his left eye and slicing down to his right jaw, flesh torn and blood gushing. Bailey Jing sneered, raising the short sword again, just as he was about to continue cutting when the office door slowly opened. Creak. Bailey Jing frowned and turned his head. Bailey Pang, covered in blood, stiffly turned his neck. His lips had lost all color as he saw the figure standing at the door, his pupils suddenly constricting. Dad. A hoarse voice escaped from his throat. Yes, everything that just happened was Bailey Jing's one-sided story. What if he was deceiving himself? What if all of this was a sinister plot by Bailey Jing? Even if the truth was as Bailey Jing said, what if father softened his heart? After 19 years of being father and son, surely there would be some memories left in his heart, right? Was he here to save him? A faint glimmer of hope appeared in his eyes. At that moment, Bailey Exon, impeccably dressed in a suit and exuding a calm demeanor, stood at the door, his gaze sweeping over the two of them. He paused for a moment at the blood pool beneath their feet, his brow slightly furrowing. Why hasn't it been dealt with yet? We have 2 minutes until it starts. He ignored the bloodied Bailey Pang Pang and fixed his gaze on Bailey Jing, his deep voice echoing in the office as if questioning him. Bailey Jing immediately spoke respectfully. I'm sorry, father, it will be done soon. Bailey Exon walked into the room with a blank expression, stepping over the blood pool and walked straight to the desk. He picked up his phone from the table and put it in his pocket before turning to leave the room. Be careful, don't dirty the floor. His voice drifted back. Click. The door closed again. Bailey Pang Pang stared blankly at the closed door, the last glimmer of hope in his heart shattered. Confusion, anger, unwillingness, despair. These emotions flooded his mind. His heart felt as if it had been violently torn apart, an unprecedented pain enveloping him. The pain from his face being cut was nothing compared to this pain. From beginning to end he hadn't even looked at himself once. What exactly was he? What had his life amounted to? For the past 19 years, the familial love he thought existed, the family he believed in, was nothing but a fleeting illusion, nothing but self-deception. What little lord of the Bailey family, what nonsense about being the heir to the group, all of it was a joke. He was merely a plaything of the colossal Bailey group. It seems I can't waste any more time. If it weren't for the bad luck of dying at home, I wouldn't have let you live this long. Bailey Jing turned to look at the grotesque scar on Bailey Pong Pong's face, shaking his head with some regret. I wanted to see what it would be like to completely mar your face. But this is enough. Dying in such a state suits your identity, doesn't it? Ha ha. He suddenly thrust the jade green short sword forward. When the tip touched Bailey Pong Pong's body, it seemed to hit something, but the next moment, the tip pierced through that barrier and plunged straight into Bailey Pong Pong's heart. Bailey Jing twisted the jade green short sword with force. Bailey Pong Pong's heart shattered into pieces. Blood trickled from the corner of Bailey Pong Pong's mouth onto the ground. His pupils began to fade and all bodily functions ceased. Moments later he completely stopped breathing. Bailey Jing casually pulled out the jade green short sword, discarding Bailey Pong Pong's corpse on the ground like trash. He carefully checked for his pulse and breathing, confirming he was completely dead before putting away the short sword, nodding in satisfaction. Farewell. He glanced at Bailey Pong Pong's corpse, turned and walked out of the room, locking the door behind him. Crimson blood flowed from Bailey Pong Pong's body, pooling into a vast sea of blood. A shattered wooden plaque slid from his chest, landing atop the blood pool and breaking into 2 halves. Step by step to success, longevity, everything goes smoothly, wealth and prosperity, all evils retreat. It was a wooden peace talisman engraved with wishes, with the words Bailey Exon neatly carved on the back. The blood completely soaked the wooden plaque, staining the characters blood red. After a long while, a faint white light emanated from Bailey Pong Pong's abdomen. There lay a jade ruby glowing softly. Chapter 429, Air. Bailey Group Main Building. 166th floor. The elevator doors slowly opened and 2 men in formal attire stepped out, their gazes sweeping across the spacious and luxurious venue before them. Bailey Group really knows how to make a grand statement, the 9th seat remarked coldly, observing the opulent surroundings. Shin Qingzhu did not respond. He silently turned his head, scanning the area. His gaze paused for a moment on a few figures standing by the distant window before he quietly turned away, presenting his back to them. As he entered the main building, he had already removed his mask. Wearing a mask in this venue would only draw more attention. Although his appearance had changed significantly over the past 2 years, making him look more composed and mature, those who knew him could still easily recognize him. He had thought that the only person he needed to avoid in this venue was Bailey Pang Pang, but he never expected that Lin Chier and the others would also be here. I'll take a look around and familiarize myself with the venue, Shin Qingzhu said, then walked directly away from Lin Chier and the others. He was aware of Lin Chier's mental perception abilities. If Lin Chier focused, he would undoubtedly sense Shin Qingzhu's presence. So he had to ensure he maintained enough distance from Lin Chier to avoid revealing his identity. The 9th seat nodded and casually began to stroll around the venue, occasionally glancing at the guests who had arrived, lost in thought. By the window, Lin Chier idly toyed with his wine glass, glancing at the time on the wall, a look of confusion crossing his face. The time has come. Why haven't Bailey Pang Pang and the others shown up yet? He's always so forgetful. Being late is nothing unusual for him, Chow Yuan sighed. As the group chatted, a solemn-looking man with graying hair, dressed in a suit, slowly walked out from the back of the venue. His appearance immediately drew the attention of everyone around. Representatives from other groups or families gathered around him, smiling and greeting him, their expressions warm and familiar. Is that Bailey Group's chairman, Bailey Xin? Chow Yuan scrutinized him for a moment, his expression somewhat peculiar. He doesn't look much like Bailey Pang Pang. And Qingyu pondered for a moment. Could it be a genetic mutation? Lin Chia was also observing the man, and at the same time, Bailey Xin seemed to notice them, smiling and nodding in acknowledgement. Lin Chia politely smiled back. After greeting numerous guests, Bailey Xin slowly walked to the center of the venue, where a white platform was set up for classical music performances. Holding a glass of wine, he calmly ascended the steps, each step steady as a mountain. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend this birthday banquet. Bailey Xion's voice was deep and magnetic, his lips always curled into a smile as his profound gaze swept over the faces of the many guests below. I, Bailey Xion, started from scratch and after 35 years have finally developed Bailey Group to its current state. Bailey Xion began his long-prepared speech, recounting how he had risen from a poor boy to become the richest man in Daxia. The arduous and tumultuous journey moved some of the younger guests to tears, their eyes filled with admiration as they looked at Bailey Xion. A media representative invited to the event sat attentively in the audience, quickly jotting down notes. Since Bailey Group prohibited the use of modern recording devices, the reporter could only write furiously, fearing to miss a single word. Of course, Lin Chia and the others were not interested in such a business legend. Their eyes were constantly searching near Bailey Xion, hoping to catch a glimpse of Bailey Pang Pang. Now it is time for me to step back and enjoy my later years. From now on, Bailey Group will be led by a younger individual who is even more outstanding than I am. He possesses meticulous logical thinking, pioneering business vision, and a rich and tumultuous experience. He is my son, the designated heir of Bailey Group, Bailey Tuming. Upon hearing this, Lin Chia and the others' expressions turned strange. Meticulous logical thinking? Pioneering business vision? Rich and tumultuous experience? Aside from the last point being somewhat true, the first two seemed completely unrelated to him. Just like Bailey Pang Pang's father, his speech is so artistic. Lin Chia couldn't help but comment. Other guests also began to converse, their faces filled with curiosity. I've heard of Bailey Tuming's name for a long time, but I've never had the chance to meet him. Isn't that right? Years ago I wanted to meet this young master of the Bailey family, but I was turned down. He seemed very busy. But I heard that this young master of the Bailey family is just a rich second generation living off his family's wealth. Is he really as impressive as Bailey Xion claims? I only know that Bailey Group has an adopted son, Bailey Jing, who is indeed exceptionally talented. He worked his way up from the bottom of Bailey Group to a high position, and his reputation within the company is quite good. It is said that he has many followers. What a pity. I've collaborated with Bailey Jing in business. He is indeed a genius. I think Bailey Jing is more suitable to be the heir than the yet-to-appear Bailey Tuming. An adopted son is still an adopted son. There is a difference from a biological son. In a corner, Wei Xiuming's hand holding the wine glass trembled slightly. He sighed deeply, turning his back and looking out at the scenery outside. Maintaining a smile on his face, Bailey Xion continued, "Now please allow my son to come up and greet everyone." He gestured lightly toward the back of the venue, and a young man in a black suit stepped out from the crowd, adjusting his collar, a smile on his face as he walked toward the platform. The moment they saw him, many guests furrowed their brows, their faces filled with confusion. Wait, I've seen him before. Isn't he Bailey Jing, the adopted son of the Bailey family? Yes, I've worked with him before. How did he become Bailey Tuming? Wait, could it be? Bailey Jing ascended the steps of the platform, slowly walking to Bailey Xion's side. The lenses of his gold-rimmed glasses reflected a pale light as he slightly bowed and politely spoke. Hello everyone, please allow me to introduce myself. Perhaps many of you are not unfamiliar with me. Yes, I am Bailey Jing. Or you may also refer to my other identity. I am Bailey Xin's only son, the sole heir of Bailey Group. Bailey Tuming. As his words fell, the entire venue fell into a dead silence. Lin Chia's gaze gradually turned cold. Chapter 430. The Only Night Watchman. Isn't he Bai Li Jing? How did he become Bai Li Tu Ming again? Idiot, can't you see? Bai Li Tu Ming and Bai Li Jing are the same person. It's just that Bai Li Xian, in order to train his son, gave him the identity of an adopted son, allowing him to get involved in the group's affairs early on. This way he can participate in high-level decision-making without arousing flattery from others. What a grand scheme. The Bai Li family truly has a grand scheme. So, that business genius Bai Li Jing is actually the true heir? Bai Li Xian just took us on a detour? Isn't this what everyone has been hoping for? With Bai Li Jing inheriting the entire Bai Li Group, the future of the Bai Li Group is bright. Yeah, I was worried that Bai Li Tu Ming was just a spoiled rich kid, but I didn't expect Bai Li Xian to give us such a big surprise. Standing on the high platform, Bai Li Xian saw the reactions of the guests and slowly began to explain. Perhaps some friends have already guessed it. That's right, Bai Li Jing is an identity I created for my son to train him. From the beginning, my Bai Li family has never had an adopted son. I, Bai Li Xian, have only one son in this life, and that is Bai Li Tu Ming. He patted Bai Li Jing's shoulder beside him and said with satisfaction, "Fortunately, my son has lived up to my expectations and has made a name for himself within the group. Today I hand over the entire Bai Li Group to him and I can rest easy." In a corner, Miao Su stared blankly at the unfamiliar figure on the stage, suddenly turning to look at Wei Xiaoming beside her, her eyes filled with confusion. "Captain, isn't that Xiao Tu-ming? Why is this happening? Where did Xiao Tu-ming go?" The other team members lowered their heads as if they hadn't heard Miao Su's question. Wei Xiaoming sighed deeply and turned to Miao Su. "Miao Su, the Bai Li Tu-ming who was in our team before is not the real Bai Li Tu-ming. We have to accept this reality." "What do you mean?" Miao Su frowned. "What do you mean, not the real Bai Li Tu-ming? I don't understand what you're saying." She stood up from her seat, pointing at the figure on the stage. "That's not Bai Li Tu-ming. We all know that, right? What's wrong with you all? Can't you recognize Xiao Tu-ming?" Wei Xiaoming looked into her eyes and spoke apologetically. "Miao Su, we can't give up our future for him. With the support of the Bai Li family, we can quickly become a team with strength second only to Shangjing City in the entire Great Xiao, or even surpass them. At that time, honor, merit, and wealth, won't they all be within our grasp? We won't have to risk our lives fighting those powerful mysteries anymore. With strong power and the support of forbidden items, we can easily crush those mysteries. Enjoying life while enjoying honor. Can you really bear to give up such a future?" Miao Su stared blankly into Wei Xiaoming's eyes. This captain who had fought alongside her for 8 years, felt so unfamiliar at this moment. She turned her head to look at the other team members, who deliberately avoided her gaze, remaining silent. Suddenly, Miao Su felt she no longer recognized this team. "So, you accepted the benefits of the Bai Li family and gave up on Xiao Tu-ming. Is that right?" She realized the underlying issue and spoke hoarsely. "Is this still what it means to be a night watchman?" She pulled out a shiny emblem from her pocket, her voice trembling. "Do you still deserve this emblem? Wei Xiaoming, tell me what is written on the back of this emblem. Read it. Read it out loud. If the dark night descends, I will stand before millions. What about Xiao Tu-ming? Isn't he one of those millions? Isn't he our comrade? You can abandon your own comrade. Has your conscience been fed to the dogs? Over these years in Guangshan City, how corrupted have you become by the Bai Li family?" She tightly gripped the emblem, tears streaming uncontrollably from her eyes. Gritting her teeth, she spoke slowly. "Since you all fear death and are unwilling to oppose the Bai Li family, then let me do it alone. I'm not afraid of death. From the day I became a night watchman, I never thought about living the decadent life you all long for. I became a night watchman to protect, not for merit and honor. Today I will tell the Bai Li family here. Guangshan is not their world. If you won't be night watchman, I, Miao Su, am the only night watchman in this city." A determined glint flashed in her reddened eyes as the emblem in her palm gently spun, a small silver needle popping out. her fingers slightly bent, ready to pierce it into her own body. At that moment, a pair of hands reached out from behind her, gently pressing against her temples. A member of Team 010 stood behind Miao Su, his palm emitting a faint green light. He looked at Miao Su's back, his eyes filled with helplessness. Miao Su's movement froze in midair, her gaze gradually becoming hazy, and then her body softened as she fainted. Wei Xiaoming reached out to catch Miao Su and gently laid her on the ground. "Captain, what should we do?" Old Han couldn't help but ask. When Sister Miao wakes up, she definitely won't let this go. Wei Xiaoming looked down at the unconscious Miao Su, his gaze flickering. After a long time, as if he had made a decision, he slowly closed his eyes. "Then, let's not let her wake up." Hearing this, several team members shuddered. "But, she's Sister Miao. Since we've already given up one team member, what's another? As long as we do it cleanly, when the next mystery descends, we can throw her to them and let the mystery kill her. No one will know. Sacrifice is just a normal thing for night watchmen." Wei Xiaoming's tone was icy cold. "We can't turn back now." The team members fell into silence simultaneously. "This by Li Tuming is not what I imagined." The ninth seat stood beside Shen Qingzhu, slowly saying, "The previous descriptions from the believers who participated in hunting by Li Tuming said he should be a chubby guy. It seems he has lost quite a bit of weight recently." Shen Qingzhu remained silent, merely staring at the unfamiliar face, his eyes slightly narrowed. On the high platform, Bai Li Xen scanned the reactions of the crowd, a satisfied look appearing in his eyes. "Next, let my son speak to everyone. He is not Bai Li Tuming." Before Bai Li Xen could finish his sentence, a cold voice suddenly rang out from the crowd. He frowned slightly and turned to look. A black-haired youth in a suit walked slowly from the window, his expression extremely grim. "What have you done to him?" Chapter 431. All draw swords. The appearance of this stranger caused the guests around to whisper among themselves, their brows slightly furrowed as if discussing something. On the high platform, Bai Li Xian's eyes narrowed slightly. In the next moment, Lin Qiyi felt everything around him dimmed. The lighting in the entire venue eerily shifted to a deep blue, as if an invisible blue dome enveloped the entire space, making it feel like being submerged in the deep sea. The movements of the surrounding guests suddenly froze in place. Not only them, but Bai Li Xian and Bai Li Jing on the high platform, as well as Chao Yuan and others behind Lin Qiyi, all froze in place. Lin Qiyi scanned his surroundings, looking at the others who seemed to have turned into statues, his brow tightly knitted. "This place is..." Lin Qiyi's expression grew serious. "Captain Lin, please don't worry, this is just a dimensional rift created by the time gap." A familiar voice came from behind Lin Qiyi. He turned around to see Chong Kong Shing walking over with a smile. "This is one of the forbidden items of the Bai Li family Forbidden Ruins Sequence 190, Time Gap, which can open a small dimensional rift where time stops. Anything that happens here will not affect the outside world, and when this rift closes, time will return to its original course." "What forbidden item?" "I don't care." Lin Qiyi spoke in a deep voice. "What have you done to Bai Li Tuming?" Chong Kong Shing smiled and pointed to the figure on the high platform. "Isn't he right there?" Lin Qiyi's gaze turned icy. "All right, Captain Lin, it seems we need to have a serious talk." Chong Kong Shing said calmly, "I wasn't provoking you just now. The person standing on the platform is indeed the designated heir of the Bai Li group, the chairman's only son, Bai Li Tuming. And the Bai Li Tuming you are familiar with is merely an adopted child of the chairman, a scapegoat who was used to cover for the real Bai Li Tuming. He has never been an heir, nor is he Bai Li Tuming. His surname is fake, his name is fake, he is just a child from an ordinary family who was pushed to the forefront by the Bai Li group and packaged as an heir." Lin Qiyi stood there in shock, his heart already stirred by tumultuous waves. Since arriving in Guangshan and coming into contact with the Bai Li group, he felt that the situation was far more complex than he had imagined. He even considered that Bai Li Xian might have been compromised, controlled or sidelined, which allowed others to take advantage. But he never expected that Bai Li Pangpang was not Bai Li Xian's son at all. From the very beginning he was a discarded piece. This matter, in the end, is a family affair of the Bai Li family. Captain Lin, you need to understand the gravity of the situation. Chong Kong Shing said earnestly. Family affair? Lin Chi replied coldly. Don't forget, even if he is a discarded child of your Bailey group, he has another identity. He is a night watchman. He is also a member of the 5th Reserve Team. He can be a discarded child, he can choose not to inherit the Bailey group, but if you dare to do anything to him, do you know the consequences? Chong Kong-shing laughed. Captain Lin, you say he is a night watchman or a member of the Special Team Reserve. Do you have any way to prove it? Upon hearing this, Lin Chiye's brow furrowed slightly. The one who participated in the training, joined the Night Watchman and became a member of Team 010 was never the Bailey Tuming you know, but the one on the platform, Chong Kong-shing said with a smile. If you don't believe it, you can check all the internal files related to Bailey Tuming within the Night Watchman and see whose photo is attached to them. Lin Chiye's pupils constricted, his face darkening. You altered his files? Chong Kong-shing did not answer this question but continued smiling. So, the Bailey Tuming you know has never joined the Night Watchman, let alone any special team. He is just an ordinary person. Oh no, let me correct myself, in this society he doesn't even have the identity of an ordinary person. All documents, files and records related to him have completely disappeared. He is just a ghost adopted by the Bailey family. Even if he dies here today, no one will notice. Lin Chi clenched his fist, sneering. What a clever trick. Your Bailey family truly has far-reaching influence. Captain Lin, you flatter me. Chong Kong-shing replied politely. So, from a legal, regulatory and procedural standpoint, this matter has nothing to do with the Night Watchman. It is purely an internal affair of the Bailey Group. Captain Lin, your special team reserve shouldn't take action against a civilian enterprise that has no record of wrongdoing and even strongly supports the development of the Night Watchman, right? Lin Chi stared intensely into his eyes, the fire of anger burning fiercely in his gaze. What have you done to him? Chong Kong-shing raised an eyebrow and smiled. Since young Master Jing is already standing there as Bailey Tuming, it naturally means that the original Bailey Tuming has completely disappeared from this world. Lin Chiye's body suddenly trembled. Captain Lin, do you remember our transaction half an hour ago? Chong Kong-shing continued. You took Zhan Bai as an exchange, and when the Bailey family encounters something that does not violate the principles of the Night Watchman and is within your capability, you must lend your assistance. Now it is time for you to fulfill your promise. We do not need your help. We only need you to quietly watch from the side with your team. After the birthday banquet ends, we will transfer 200 million to your personal account as a mental compensation fee. How does that sound? As Chong Kong-shing's words fell, the deep blue around them began to recede like a tide. He glanced around and smiled, saying, The time for the existence of the dimensional rift has come. They say Captain Lin is a smart person. In the end, will you choose to stand up for a body that has no identity or significance, offending the Bailey family, or will you choose to take the forbidden item and compensation, remain quiet for a while, and then rise to become a true special team? You should know which is the better choice. Lin Chi stared at Chong Kong-shing, and after a long time he turned around to look at the father and son standing on the high platform, his body trembling uncontrollably, his nails digging deep into his flesh. Truly, what a Bailey family. Bang! With a soft sound, the dimensional rift shattered completely, and the surrounding time returned to its predetermined course. The guests around continued to whisper. Lin Chi stood beneath the high platform. Bailey Tuming's face was dark. While Bailey Exon seemed to know what had just happened, his expression incredibly calm, simply watching Lin Chi quietly, waiting for him to make a choice. Lin Chi took a deep breath, slowly loosening his tightly clenched fist. In the next moment, several beams of summoning magic burst forth from behind him. Lin Chi, Chao Yuan and Qing Yu and Jiao Lan, each holding their respective black boxes, stood quietly in the center of the crowd. Bailey Xion's expression changed. Lin Chi looked up at Bailey Xion's eyes, his gaze filled with endless fury mixed with furnace-like golden flames burning fiercely. He forcefully threw the box containing Zhan Bai behind him towards Bailey Xion's figure. The latter slightly turned and the black box flew across half the venue, crashing into the wall and exploding with a loud bang. The snow-white long knife spun and ultimately pierced into a high wall, the blade trembling violently. Go to hell with Zhan Bai. Lin Chi growled, suddenly tearing off the tie from his collar, his fingers pressing on the handle of the black box and two straight knives shot out. 5th Reserve Team. Lin Qiyi grasped the two knives, the killing intent erupting from him as the center. All members, draw your swords. Chapter 432, Mask. Chao Yuan and Qing Yu and Jialan reacted instantly to the sound, without the slightest hesitation as their weapons shot out from the black boxes. They didn't know what had happened, but they could sense that something must have gone wrong with Bailey Pang Pang. When Lin Chia said to draw their swords, they drew their swords. No matter where they were. No matter why. No matter who their enemy was. Chao Yuan gripped his straight sword with one hand, his right hand grasping the hilt, and in an instant he drew the sword from its sheath. Clang! The crisp sound of the sword echoed through the venue, and a dark, malevolent aura surged upward, completely enveloping him. His scarlet eyes fixed intently on the two people on the stage, a chilling presence sweeping over the venue. And Qingyu reached out and grasped the air, and a frost-covered long sword appeared in his right hand. With a flick of his left hand, invisible threads extended outward, silently weaving a large net. Jialan pulled an arrow from her quiver, knocking it on her pale yellow hardwood bow, the bowstring drawn taut, the arrow tip aimed directly at the stage, her blue dress fluttering in the wind, her gaze unwavering. Chang Kongxing's face turned ashen. He never expected that after being so clear and sincere, Lin Chia would still dare to take action. This was the Bailey Group. Did he no longer want to be the captain of the special team? A madman, utterly insane. Completely unreasonable. Just as Chang Kongxing was about to do something, Bailey Xian's calm voice rang in his ear. Activate the emergency plan, teleport all guests to the waiting room, and use that forbidden item to erase their recent memories. Once the situation is resolved, we will resume the birthday banquet. Chang Kongxing nodded and took out a disc from his pocket, gently turning it. A white light suddenly erupted beneath the feet of most guests. They looked down in shock, and as the white light flashed in the next moment, their figures vanished into thin air. Of course, there were two exceptions. The ninth seat and Shin Qingzhu saw the white light suddenly appear beneath them and without a second thought, stepped back, leaving the range of the white light. Interesting, this development is too interesting. The ninth seat looked up into the distance, a smile creeping onto his lips. Someone is stirring up trouble for us, giving us the chance to kill Bailey Tumming. Truly a heaven-sent opportunity. Shin Qingzhu stood in the corner, silently putting on her white fox mask. Aside from them, the members of Team 010 also did not leave. It wasn't that they retreated like Shin Qingzhu, rather there was no white light beneath their feet at all. In other words, Bailey Xian never intended to let them leave so easily. Captain Wei, there are super-powered individuals causing trouble at my Bailey birthday banquet, disrupting social stability. What do you think? Should you intervene? Bailey Xian turned his head to look at the 6 members of Team 010 in the corner, speaking lightly. The other 5 team members simultaneously turned to look at Wei Xiuming. Wei Xiuming stood up, taking a deep breath. Dealing with malicious superpowered individuals is one of our Night Watchers' responsibilities. We certainly won't stand by and do nothing. Several beams of white light flashed before them, and their respective straight swords and cloaks appeared on the table. These were the weapons they had stored at the Bailey Group before attending the banquet, and Chang Kongxing had used the forbidden item to send them here. Whoosh! 6 dark red figures flashed in front of Lin Chia and the others. Wei Xiuming placed his hand on the hilt of his sword, his gaze fixed on Lin Chia, speaking in a low voice. The 010 Night Watcher team is here. Who dares to be reckless? Lin Chia narrowed his eyes slightly, taking out his emblem. I am Lin Chia, captain of the 5th Special Teams Reserve Unit. Step aside. Upon hearing Lin Chia's words, Wei Xiuming was taken aback, then turned to look at Bailey Xian behind him. Bailey Xian shook his head. I have never heard of any 5th Special Team Reserve Unit, Wei Xiuming said coldly. Moreover, even if it were a special team, you cannot act against unrelated parties without reason. Unrelated parties? Heh. Lin Chia let out a cold laugh as if recalling something, his gaze toward Wei Xiuming gradually turned icy. You are the captain of Team 010. You should know the inside story, yet you still stand with the Bailey Group. So that's how it is you've been bought off. Wei Xiuming fell silent. Lin Chia's hand gripping the straight sword trembled slightly, his knuckles turning white, the anger in his eyes burning hotter. Good for Team 010, good for this group of Night Watchers. What benefits has the Bailey family given you? To make you betray even your own teammates? In a remote county in the extreme north of Daxia, the night watchers there can't even use heating, relying on military coats and cigarettes to survive each winter, yet they still hold their ground for decades without complaint. And you? You are not worthy of being night watchers. You are not worthy of the 010 designation. You are not worthy of staying in Guangshan. Wei Xiaoming and the others' faces turned ashen, but they still showed no intention of moving away from Lin Chia. They took a deep breath and slowly spoke. We don't know what you're talking about. We are just following the rules. The files of the night watchers show whose photo is attached and we recognize whoever that is. The person you mentioned. We don't know them. In the chairman's office. In a pool of blood. The little finger of the cold corpse suddenly twitched. The white light covering his body receded like a tide, returning to his dantian, where a white jade rui gently spun. Bailey Pongpong's tightly shut eyelids trembled slightly, slowly opening. He stared blankly at the ceiling for a long time, then sat up from the pool of blood. Confusion first appeared in his eyes, followed by a gradual dimming of the light within. He looked down and picked up the broken sandalwood talisman beside him, gently wiping away the blood stains. However, the thick blood had already dried, sticking to the surface of the wooden plaque, rendering all the characters indistinct. He stared at the wooden plaque for a long time, a self-deprecating expression emerging in his eyes. Whoosh! A flame suddenly ignited in his palm, instantly burning the wooden plaque to ashes, with bits of charcoal falling through his fingers, mingling with the muddy blood, disappearing without a trace. He slowly stood up, walking step by step to the floor-to-ceiling window. The large glass reflected his figure. The deep blue suit was stained red with blood, and on that familiar face, a deep, bone-deep scar was shocking to behold. He looked like a demon crawling out of hell, terrifyingly fierce. He gazed at his reflection in the mirror for a long time, helplessly closing his eyes. He lowered his head and took out a grinning Zhu Beiji mask from his pocket, slowly putting it on his face. Farewell, Bailey Tuming. He looked at the grinning mask in the mirror, murmuring to himself. Chapter 433, Civil War. Venue. A good one I don't recognize, Lin Chia sneered. Since that's the case, I won't treat you as night watchman anymore. Kill them. Hee. A sinister laugh flashed past Lin Chia, and a figure enveloped in black flames charged toward Team 010 like lightning. The madman Chao Yuan raised his straight knife high, and a surging aura of death erupted. From Team 010, a burly man stepped forward, swinging his straight knife to meet Chao Yuan's blade aura. In the instant their blades collided, the burly man was sent flying by Chao Yuan's strike. Old Han, who was behind him, was about to assist when an arrow brushed past his nose, leaving a faint blood mark on his face, and his back was instantly soaked with cold sweat. Jialan stood calmly in place, knocking a second arrow on her bowstring. In a distortion of light, the other three figures of Team 010 simultaneously vanished, as if they had evaporated from the world, leaving no trace behind. At that moment, Qingyu, dressed in a suit and wearing glasses, flicked his fingers, and the invisible threads around him rapidly constricted, forming a web-like cage that enveloped a corner of the venue. Within the silk thread cage, three figures materialized from the void, their faces extremely grim. Qingyu adjusted his glasses, and a strange gray light flickered in his eyes behind the lenses. Sorry, I see through your optical invisibility, he said as frost wrapped around the three imprisoned individuals, and the nearby air began to freeze rapidly. Except for the team leader Wei Xiaoming and the deputy team leader Miao Su, the rest of Team 010 were at the Chuan level. If all members were present, Lin Chia and his group would undoubtedly face a tough battle. But for some reason, deputy team leader Miao Su had mysteriously disappeared. In a 4-to-4 situation, just one encounter had already put Lin Chia's group at an advantage. A shadow of darkness enveloped the blade of the straight knife, and the next moment, Lin Chia shot out like a bolt of lightning, zipping past Wei Xiaoming and charging straight toward the high platform. Wei Xiaoming's expression changed slightly and he quickly turned, drawing his straight knife to intercept the one tainted by darkness. With a powerful slash, he forced it back to Lin Chia's front. No matter who you are, if you don't have a legitimate reason, you cannot attack ordinary people. Leave now and you'll still have time, Wei Xiaoming said in a deep voice. Lin Chia caught the returning straight knife, his golden eyes burning like flames. "Get out of my way!" Lin Chia roared, stomping hard on the ground, his figure flashing to Wei Xiuming's front, the pale blue blade slicing through the air, aiming for Wei Xiuming's chest. Clay! Wei Xiuming crossed his knife over his chest, forcefully blocking Lin Chia's strike. The blade deflected, pointing back at Lin Chia. A slash was unleashed. Ding! A sound like a bird's chirp rang out from the tip of his knife, and Lin Chia's pupils suddenly constricted as he dodged to the side like lightning. In the next moment, a narrow blade of light grazed his body, slicing through all the tables and chairs in its path. The sturdy support columns crumbled like paper, easily snapping in two. The blade of light continued forward, shattering an entire floor-to-ceiling window and disappearing into the sky. The sound of shattering glass echoed, followed by a gust of wind rushing into the venue through the broken window, sending tablecloths and debris flying across the floor. Lin Chia turned to look at Wei Xiuming's straight knife, his expression extremely serious. Forbidden Ruins Sequence 072, Birdsong, grants the extreme sharpness attribute to anything it touches. Even a rotten piece of wood can easily cut through reinforced concrete. Under the effect of extreme sharpness, each slash emits a sound like a bird's call, hence the name, Birdsong. And Qingyu said, frowning as he observed the terrifying cut on the ground. Wei Xiuming stood calmly with his knife in front of Lin Chia, speaking, "If I strike you, you will undoubtedly die. It's better to retreat early." Lin Chia's eyes narrowed slightly, a cold smile forming on his lips. "The premise is that you can hit me." Anger like a flash of lightning, swift as the wind, Lin Chia murmured, taking a step forward. His figure instantly blurred in the air, nearly impossible to capture with the naked eye, like a phantom that appeared before Wei Xiuming in an instant. With the enhancement of the poetic lines and the starry night dancer, Lin Chia's speed had completely shattered the barrier of the Chuan level, reaching the high level, even rivaling some high-level Forbidden Ruins possessors focused on speed enhancement. Wei Xiuming's pupils constricted as he tried to follow the black shadow, but his movements were a beat too slow. Several slashes were unleashed, but none could hit the rapidly moving Lin Chia, instead shattering a few more floor-to-ceiling windows. The venue, standing amidst the clouds, was now exposed to the wind from all sides, a chaotic scene inside. Suddenly, a blade of light appeared behind Wei Xiuming. Wei Xiuming's knife quickly countered, but it couldn't keep up with Lin Chia's speed. The blade grazed his straight knife, barely deflecting the force, but a cut tore through his suit, leaving a blood mark on his back. Wei Xiuming staggered, anger flashing in his eyes. He positioned his knife horizontally at his waist, sweeping half a circle, unleashing a semicircular arc of fine slashes that covered a 180 degrees range in front of him. Lin Chia's expression changed slightly, not because he couldn't dodge this strike, but because the range of the attack was too wide. Even if he could evade, and Qingyu and Chao Yuan behind him would be affected. He gritted his teeth, preparing to withstand the blow, when suddenly, a blue figure flew in front of him. Jialon, with her pale yellow hardwood bow slung behind her, reached out with her bare hands to intercept the fine slashes. The bird song, capable of easily slicing through anything, touched her palm and was forcefully stopped. She suddenly exerted strength, crushing the slash. The howling wind swept past Jialon's body, lifting her blue skirt. She gazed at Wei Xiuming, her eyes filled with unwavering determination. "He is entrusted to me." Her voice mingled with the wind, brushing past Lin Chia's ears. Lin Chia was momentarily taken aback, nodded, and shifted his gaze from Wei Xiuming to the high platform not far away. He stepped forward, charging straight toward the father and son on the high platform. Wei Xiuming was about to intervene when Jialon took the lead, her fair fist breaking through the air with a slight explosive sound, aimed at Wei Xiuming's face. Wei Xiuming had no choice but to stop and engage in close combat with Jialon. However, with her immortal characteristic, Jialon was an abnormal existence in close-quarters combat. No matter how Wei Xiuming attacked, he couldn't harm her in the slightest, while her punches were no joke. Thus, Wei Xiuming could only be forced to retreat step by step. Madman Chao Yuan and Qingyu held back the remaining 5 members of Team 010. It wasn't that Team 010 was weak, but they were completely restrained in terms of Forbidden Ruins. Qingyu could see through any optical invisibility, and Madman Chao Yuan was unreasonable, able to take on 3 by himself. In the chaotic battlefield, a blade of light sliced through the air. The next moment, Lin Chia's figure appeared out of thin air above the high platform. Chapter 434. Accompanying him to the grave. 166th floor. Clay. The straight blade slashed towards the high platform but suddenly halted mid-air, as if an invisible wall stood between Lin Chia and them, blocking all external attacks. Lin Chia's brows furrowed tightly, his hands gripping the knife turning pale, but no matter how hard he tried he couldn't pierce the blade into the slightest bit ahead. Captain Lin, do you really think the Bailey family is so easy to bully? Standing on the high platform, Bailey Exon squinted at Lin Chia, his deep voice revealing no emotion. He gently pushed his wine glass forward, and the rim seemed to touch an invisible boundary, producing a crisp hum. The wall of sighs. Bailey Exon murmured softly. In the next moment, a heavy sigh suddenly echoed in Lin Chia's ears. The voice was genderless but filled with helplessness and weariness. The instant the voice rang in Lin Chia's ears, he felt as if he had been struck by a giant hammer. The terrifying repulsive force sent him flying, causing his internal organs to tremble violently, like a glass cup on the edge of a wall, ready to shatter at any moment. Lin Chia crashed through 2 massive pillars and flew out of the building through the shattered floor-to-ceiling window. Enduring the excruciating pain, he hurled one of his straight knives back into the building, then his figure vanished into the sea of clouds. Swish. As the straight knife flew back to the 166th floor, the reverse summoning magic activated, and Lin Chia was teleported back indoors. Holding the straight knife, he stood at the edge of the floor, his gaze towards the high platform filled with gravity. He could almost confirm that the invisible wall surrounding Bailey Exan was definitely not an ordinary forbidden object. Just the sound of that terrifying sigh was enough to classify it as a super high-risk forbidden object. If it weren't for Lin Chia's significantly increased defense due to the enhancement of the Starry Night Dancer, his internal organs might have already been shattered. Moreover, with the accompanying defensive ability, this was likely a super high-risk forbidden object, one of Bailey Exion's treasures, just like the White Slash, that could cut down thousands regardless of distance. And such a terrifying super high-risk forbidden object, Bailey Exon had 10 more in his possession. Don't say it's just a special team's reserve squad. Even the masked team wouldn't dare to act against our Bailey group here. Bailey Exon spoke calmly. Captain Lin, you are still too young. You have no idea how terrifying the foundation of the Bailey family truly is. As his words fell, Bailey Exon waved his hand, and the white light with teleportation power reappeared around the high platform. One figure after another stepped out from the light, standing before Bailey Exon and the others. Some held ancient long swords, some wielded antelope horns, some wore tattered cloaks, some stood on 2 light wheels, and some had a terrifying blood-red eyeball floating behind them. Each of them was a wielder of forbidden objects. Not more, not less, exactly 12 people. The moment they appeared on this floor, a powerful pressure suddenly descended. The 010 team who were fighting with Jalon and the others changed their expressions, turning to see this scene, their eyes filled with horror. 1 Sea Realm, 3 Woolyong, and 1 Klein. This lineup completely crushed any team Wei Xiaoming had ever seen. He had no doubt that with just these 12 wielders of forbidden objects, the Bailey family could face the 006 team from Shangjing City head-on. In other words, the Bailey family always had a super strong combat force comparable to the Shangjing City teams on standby. This is the foundation of the Bailey family. One of them. The 12 Zodiac, I greet the chairman. The leading Klein realm expert turned around and said respectfully. Bailey Exon nodded slightly, his gaze falling back to the edge of the floor, on the young man standing before the floor-to-ceiling window, and spoke lightly. Captain Lin, now, do you have a clearer understanding of reality? If you withdraw now and leave, I can treat everything that just happened as if it never occurred. You can also take the White Slash with you, and the promises that Chong Kongxing made to you before still stand. The Bailey family has already shown its sincerity. Now it's your turn. As Bailey Exion's words fell, even the 010 team who were fighting with Jalon and the others stopped and turned to look at Lin Chia, waiting for him to make a decision. The howling wind rushed into the empty hall, producing a series of whimpers. The corners of Lin Chia's suit fluttered as he calmly gazed at the 12 figures standing before the high platform, slowly taking a step forward. Tap tap tap. The footsteps echoed in the spacious venue. Under the layered terrifying pressure, Lin Chia's steps felt somewhat heavy, but his back showed no sign of bending. He held his head high and walked slowly yet firmly towards the high platform. Bailey Xian's brows furrowed slightly. Wei Xiaoming and the others looked on in shock, unable to comprehend everything before them. Clearly, Bailey Xian had demonstrated how terrifying the Bailey family's foundation was. Why did he still dare to move forward? Did he really think he could contend against those 12 wielders of forbidden objects? The Bailey group had already made concessions and offered a way out. Why wouldn't he relent? Was a mere Bailey tumming that important? Madman, he's a madman, Wei Xiaoming muttered to himself. Lin Chia gripped his dual knives, a wave of night spreading from him as the center. He gazed at Bailey Xian on the high platform and slowly spoke. I don't care about any forbidden objects. I also don't care about any mental compensation. I'm even less interested in the twists and turns within your Bailey family. Even the position of captain of this special team isn't that important. He raised his knife, pointing the tip at the high platform, his eyes filled with killing intent. But, if you dare to lay a hand on my brother, I will ensure that the entire Bailey family pays for it with their lives. Boom. A thunderclap suddenly pierced the clear sky, a low hum resonating in the air. A noblewoman in a black starry dress appeared behind Lin Chia, slowly merging with him, soul-bearing. In the next moment, the divine might of the god of night descended. Lin Chia's short hair grew at an astonishing speed, transforming into long black hair that cascaded down to his waist in the blink of an eye. In his deep-set eyes, the brilliant light of countless stars ignited, as if containing the entire night sky. The fierce wind whipped his long hair, the hem of his suit rustling in the breeze. He stepped into the night and the surrounding light dimmed at a visible rate. Outside the main building, the clear sky was engulfed in darkness in just 2 seconds, as if it were not the blazing noon but midnight, the pitch-black night wrapping around Lin Chia like a long robe, gently draping behind him.